Hello and welcome to the Live Life Extraordinary podcast. I'm your host, Bianca DeLuco. Last week on the podcast, we talked about the 4 S's that every woman needs in order to find success and fulfillment in life. And if you did not check out that episode, I highly recommend. I will link it in the show notes for you to get to. The reason that I'm mentioning that episode is because one of the 4 S's that we talked about last week was self-care, which brings us to today's episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to have a sustainable and successful self-care practice, which if you did watch last week's episode, you know that sustainability is also one of the things that we talked about as being one of the 4 S's. So definitely a great foundational episode that leads into this one. Of course, you don't need to listen to that episode to take in all the good information for this one. So I will start by saying that I think the best time to schedule in your self-care, if you can, is in the morning. The first 10 minutes of our day really set the tone of our entire day. So you probably notice that the days that you stub your toe on the coffee table and lose your keys and spill your coffee and can't find your sweater and your laundry isn't dry and your car's dead, or all the chaos that happens, or the days that you're running late already, the days that you're feeling frazzled and stressed and overwhelmed. So again, what's in us is pouring out of us, right? That chaotic state is filling our world and our lives around us. So if we can start our days more intentionally, more grounded, more peaceful, more grateful, more joyful, more inspired, that's going to overflow into our days. It's going to help us be more mindful, more present, so that we're not spilling our coffee and we're not misplacing our keys and we're watching where we're going and not stubbing our toe, right? So of course, I will kind of segue this slightly to say that not everything in our lives is created by us. Sometimes there's challenging or awful things that happen in our lives that are completely out of our control, right? You can be really grounded and meditate every day and still get sick or lose a loved one or things like that. So I don't ever, while we have a lot of personal agency that plays a huge role in the lives that we're living, I don't want to ever be someone who tells you that you are solely responsible for everything that happens in your life, because while you can change and create probably a good 90% of your life, there are also external circumstances that are completely out of your control that I don't ever want anyone to feel like they've caused, or if they would have been more intentional or meditated more, that these horrific things wouldn't have happened or these challenging things wouldn't have happened. So there's a delicate balance between acknowledging what's within our control and what's out of our control, and having that personal agency and that personal responsibility, but also letting things go that are not our fault. So kind of a side trip there, but so the first 10 minutes of your day really create the entire day. And if you think about that on the grander scheme of things, the first 10 minutes of your day create the quality of your day. The quality of your days adds up to be the quality of your overall life. So if every day is starting chaotic and stressful and exhausted and overwhelmed and anxious, and every day feels like that, that's your entire life. So it's really important to think about how we're intentionally creating our lives that serve us. We have 70 years on this planet, if we're lucky, maybe less, maybe more. We don't know. Is it really worth wasting all of that precious time in a dysregulated state? Probably not. So here are some things you can do in the first 10 minutes of your day to make sure that you're kind of setting yourself up for success. First things first, if you can, avoid any screens or devices, especially that beautiful cell phone of yours that we all love to reach for in the morning. We want to check the news. We want to check our emails, our text messages, our Facebook, our Instagram, Twitter, whatever you use. Having that blue light exposure in the morning messes, 1, with our circadian rhythm, and 2, it automatically initiates your stress response in your body. We have higher stress hormones in the body when we wake up anyways, so adding additional stress to the body first thing in the morning is really a horrible idea. So if you can avoid that, please do. Then I would say you're taking that out, so what are you filling that 10 minutes with? This is going to be a little bit different for everybody. It could be journaling. It could be meditation. It's really great to get daylight or sunlight first thing in the morning. So maybe you can go for a walk. If you are a coffee drinker, maybe it's a quiet cup of coffee, an intentional cup of coffee where you're noticing how it smells, how it tastes, and not just making it part of a habitual habit, but maybe more of like a sacred ritual. What you do in those first 10 minutes does not matter. It doesn't matter if it's yoga. It doesn't matter if it's a workout. It does not matter. And you're going to have different people with different perspectives who say that you should read for 10 minutes first thing in the morning, or you should exercise for 10 minutes. There's going to be a whole lot of people that have a whole lot of ideas about what the best thing to do is in those first 10 minutes. But I will say instead, it doesn't matter as long as it's intentional and it allows you to feel the way you desire to feel. Right? So if in the morning you wake up feeling anxious, maybe you're taking some deep breaths. If in the morning you're waking up feeling tired, maybe you're going for a brisk run or like rebounding on your trampoline or whatever type of movement you like to do to get yourself energized. The most important thing is that you're assessing how you feel and then modifying your actions to make sure that how you're feeling is in alignment with what you want to feel, what you want your life to be. Right? So that's our morning practice, right? Now, it's hard to have a morning routine and ritual when you're constantly snoozing your alarm. It's hard to have a morning routine and ritual when you're feeling exhausted and depleted first thing in the morning and you really only have the mental capacity to scroll on your phone. You don't have the mental capacity to intentionally journal or intentionally breathe or do meditation or whatever it is that's going to make you feel good. So I will say, the key to having a successful morning practice is having good sleep. And one of the keys to having good sleep is having a successful self-care practice before bed. So that can look like many, many different things. For me, again, back to the cell phone, back to the screens, trying to avoid screen time at least for an hour before bed. That blue light messes with your circadian rhythm, tells your brain it's time to be awake, even though it's not, and it keeps your brain awake even hours into your sleep. So if you can get rid of the phone a little bit before bedtime, maybe that's a great time to read. That's a great time to connect with your partner. That's a great time to do some gratitude journaling or regular journaling. A great time to do a hobby you really love and enjoy. I will say the more consistent you can be with your activities at bedtime, the better your overall sleep is going to be. If you think about like Pavlov's dogs, if anyone like studied psychology, Pavlov used to ring a bell and then give the dog food. Ring a bell, give the dog food. To the point where he would ring the bell and the dog would instantly start to salivate at the sound of the bell because they associated the sound of the bell with eating. Same thing. If you have like a nighttime ritual that's like, okay, I put oils in my diffuser, I take my magnesium, I brush my teeth and wash my face, I put on my face cream, I get in bed, I do gratitude journaling. It doesn't even have to be an hour. If it can be an hour without your phone, great. But the rest of it, if it can even just be like 10 minutes, is great because it starts to tell your brain like, okay, this is the bell. This is our notice that sleep is coming soon. So we're going to start to wind down and calm down so that our brain and our body are not so active when we do get in bed and we are trying to fall asleep. So really, I think I'm going to do a more in-depth podcast episode on sleep and on all of the things that I do for sleep hygiene. When I can't fall asleep, when I can't stay asleep, when I wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep, all of the things like that. But for now, just like a good synopsis that a good morning routine, a good self-care practice in the morning sets you up for success for your day and for your life. A good evening routine sets you up for success and for a good morning routine. I will say too, right? Let's say it's not possible. You have like kids who wake you up in the morning. Just doing your best, even if you're like making breakfast and taking deep conscious breaths as you're making breakfast. I think breath work is a great tool because we can do it while we're in the shower if we have to, or, you know, doing our other things that we have to get done. We can kind of stack it with other habits to make sure that we are feeling regulated, even if we don't have necessarily the success strategies in place to like make it its own separate practice. So, with all that being said, I am going to be doing another episode on my favorite self-care practices and why I enjoy them so much. Everything from one's for stress, one's for anxiety, one's for overwhelm, and things of that nature. So that will be coming soon to the podcast. If you are interested in learning more about that, definitely make sure that you subscribe to the newsletter so that you can get notified when that goes live. Also, as this episode is being released, we are in November of 2026 and 2026. I am so far ahead of myself. 2025. And starting December 1st, I am going to be doing a 12 days of Christmas kind of self-care challenge, where every day for 12 days, I'm going to be sending you a new self-care practice to engage in. So if you feel extra overwhelmed and extra stressed during the holiday time, or if you even are just wanting to establish a self-care practice and don't really know how to start, this is a great opportunity to have things delivered directly to you every day, where you can learn how to take care of yourself through a wide variety of different self-care practices. So your ability to join that challenge is in the description box. I will say that if you are watching this after November or December of 2025 and the challenge is complete, that link won't be live anymore, but I will replace that link with another self-care resource for those of you who are later to the episode but are still in need of a little self-care. So thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you have any questions or if you have something you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, I'm more than happy to connect with you and give you everything that I can to support you on your journey of becoming your best self and creating your best life. So you can email me at info@biancadeluco.com. Other than that, I hope you're having a great week, and I cannot wait to connect with you again soon.